You always walk slowly, not loud, not showy, as if Mother Earth herself is listening to every one of your footsteps. And now, Taurus, the year ahead is gently leaning toward you very softly, very deeply carrying the answers to everything you have endured, protected, and believed in all this time. This is not just a new year. This is a shift of seasons within your own soul. This journey will reveal 12 important reasons that will gradually unfold for Taurus. And please stay until reason number 1, because the final one will not overwhelm, but it will reach straight into your heart and remain there for a long time. Before we begin, share your zodiac sign and birth date in the comments. Your presence here is not an accident. Reason 12. Final recognition finally knocks after a very long journey. Taurus, the coming year carries a moment you have quietly waited for far longer than you ever admitted to yourself. Not loud recognition, not spotlights or dazzling applause, but the feeling of being truly seen correctly, honestly. For many years, you were the one who stayed when others walked away, the one who kept going when results had not yet appeared, the one loyal to responsibility, to promises, to the path you chose even when no one clapped. And this year, the universe begins to incline toward you. The efforts once labeled slow, stubborn, too persistent, suddenly become the foundation that makes others trust you. It may come as acknowledgement from a superior, a new opportunity offered because they know you will not give up, or something simpler, the respectful gaze of someone who finally understands. You were never lazy, you simply walked very deep. The healing here is not found in achievement. It lives in the feeling, so I was not wrong for staying. Dauntless Tard, this year teaches Taurus a gentle yet powerful lesson. Steadfastness is never forgotten, it simply needs time to be called by its true name. And when recognition arrives, it does not make you proud. It makes you peaceful, because deep inside, you have always known you have been worthy for a very long time. Reason 11. Financial stability built through loyalty and endurance. For Taurus, money has never been just numbers. It is a feeling of safety, the ability to protect the people you love, the solid ground that allows you to live without constant anxiety. In the coming year, your finances enter a different phase, not a sudden burst, but a deep and lasting stability. Everything you have accumulated through discipline, through steady work habits, through never quitting halfway, begins to reconnect into a solid system. You may receive an opportunity to increase your income, a more reliable source of money, or simply the feeling, I don't have to worry like I used to anymore. It's lovely. What is special is this. This year, money comes to Taurus because others trust you. They trust that you are not impulsive, that you do not betray, that you do not destroy what has been built. Loyalty to your work, to your values, to your commitments becomes your strongest invisible asset. This year also teaches you a deeply healing lesson. You do not need reckless risk to feel abundant. You only need to continue moving at your own rhythm. When you are no longer driven by the fear of lack, you begin to make wiser decisions. And that very calmness attracts even more abundance. By the end of the year, Taurus will realize true wealth is not about how much you have, but about the feeling of standing on ground that no longer trembles. Reason 10. A career shift arrives quietly, yet faded. In the coming year, Taurus may feel their work beginning to shift. Don't fret. Not a sharp turn that throws you into panic, but a slow movement like underground currents silently changing their direction. You may be given a new role, a greater responsibility, or an opportunity that makes you ask yourself, am I truly on the right path? It's no isn't. Taurus does not naturally like change. You are loyal to what is familiar. But precisely because of that, when this change appears, it is not accidental. It comes because you are steady enough to carry it. At first, you may feel pressure. You may feel the need to relearn, to start again, or to step outside your comfort zone. But then you will realize everything you have accumulated, endurance, resilience, the spirit of never giving up, is quietly lifting you to a higher level. The healing lies here. You do not need to become someone else to succeed. You only need to be Taurus in the truest sense, slow, solid, and committed until the end. By the end of the year, when you look back, you will understand. This shift did not take away your stability. It simply guided you to a place more worthy of the value you have silently built over so many years. Reason 9. Emotional maturity becomes a gentle armor. If there is one change that stands out most clearly for Taurus this year, it is how you face your own emotions. You no longer react immediately when hurt. No longer try to prove yourself right. No longer cling tightly to what weighs down your heart. Instead, you learn how to stay with your emotions. Listen to them, understand them, and let them pass through without breaking you. This maturity does not make you cold. It makes you softer, deeper, and harder to wound. You begin to realize, not everyone deserves your unconditional loyalty. Not every relationship requires you to sacrifice yourself to exhaustion. This may lead you to release a few old things, quietly, without resentment. And that very release becomes the greatest healing. This year's lesson is deeply Taurus. Emotional strength is not found in enduring endlessly, but in knowing when to stop to protect yourself. You remain loyal, still profound, but you no longer allow your endurance to be taken advantage of. By the end of the year, Taurus will clearly feel your heart is still soft, but no longer fragile. Reason 8. Relationships become real, no more space for half-heartedness. This year, Taurus begins to look at relationships through very different eyes. It is no longer the question, who is by my side? To ein, but rather, who truly stays with me? This times Mazik Tassens, you are loyal by nature. When you love for a very long time. When you commit, you endure so much to preserve what you hold dear. But this year, the universe whispers something gently into your soul. Not every relationship that lasts a long time is meant to be kept. Some connections will grow deeper, becoming safe, warm, and trustworthy enough for you to rest within. And some relationships will slowly fade, not because of conflict, but because you are no longer the old self who is willing to sacrifice yourself into disappearance. This may make you sad because Taurus is not accustomed to letting go. Yet it is precisely within this gentle release that healing finds you. You learn how to set boundaries. You learn how to say no without guilt. You learn that loyalty does not mean enduring everything. For those who remain, love becomes deeper, more real. Fewer promises, more action. Less drama, more peace. The lesson of this year carries the true spirit of Taurus. The most enduring love and connection is always the place where you are allowed to be yourself, not where you must strain to be kept. By the end of the year, you look around and realize there are fewer people, but your heart feels lighter and safer than ever before. Reason 7. Health calls your name, and at last, you listen. Taurus, how long has it been since you placed yourself after everything else? After work, after responsibility, after the people you could not bear to abandon. This year, your body begins to speak not through frightening illness, but through very subtle signs. Lingering exhaustion, a heavy mind, a rhythm of life that no longer feels balanced. And this time, you do not ignore it. You begin to understand that health is not something to sacrifice for stability, it is the foundation of all stability. You learn to rest without labeling yourself as lazy. You learn to slow down without self-blame. You learn to care for your body as one would tend a piece of land that has worked for far too long. Small changes begin to appear. More mindful eating, deeper sleep, more time alone, not out of loneliness, but because you need restoration. The most healing realization is this: when you begin to care for yourself, your mind also becomes steadier. Taurus carries immense endurance, but this year teaches you that true endurance does not live in endless tahmalit, lives in the ability to renew yourself. By the end of the year, you are not only healthier, you live more lightly, and you realize, when you respect your body, life itself begins to treat you more gently. Reason 6. A new journey opens when Taurus steps beyond the familiar. This year, Taurus may sense an invitation to leave familiar ground not through pressure, but through a very soft calling. It may be a journey, a course of study, an opportunity to learn or experience something that makes you hesitate for a long time, and yet you still choose to step forward. Taurus loves stability. You are loyal to familiar rhythms, to what has already proven itself safe. But precisely because of this, when this new door opens, it is not meant to uproot you, it is meant to expand your inner world. In these journeys or paths of learning, you are not seeking overwhelm, you are seeking understanding. You listen to other stories, other perspectives, and you begin to see the world is far wider than your worries. Healing lives there. When you step outside the old loop, heavy thoughts begin to loosen their grip. You learn that not all change destroys stability, some changes nourish it. The lesson this year offers Taurus is gentle. You do not need to abandon who you are in order to grow. You only need to give yourself more space to breathe. When you return, you are still the same Taurus, grounded, loyal, enduring. Only now, your heart is wider, and your steps are lighter. Reason 5. The current of creation awakens. When perseverance begins to speak, Taurus often does not think of themselves as creative. That's stodeject. You believe in hard work, in practicality, in taking things step by step, day by day. But this year, something very interesting happens. Creativity begins to sprout from that very perseverance. New ideas do not arrive in a rush, but like an underground spring, slow-moving, yet never dry. You begin to look at familiar problems from a different angle. You find solutions you had never considered before. What is special is this: Taurus creativity is not chaotic. It has structure, it has grounding, it has the ability to turn into real results. You may notice yourself working more effectively, resolving old blockages, or creating something that carries your unique signature, not flashy, but lasting. The healing lies here. You realize that you are not only good at enduring, you are also good at creating beauty from that persistence. This creativity also weaves into your personal life. The way you love, the way you speak, the way you care for what you cherish. By the end of the year, Taurus understands something very deeply. Creativity is not an inborn talent. It is a reward for those who stay long enough with what they believe in. Reason 4. Life purpose becomes clear. When Taurus stops chasing and begins choosing. This year, Taurus no longer feels the need to keep up with everything. You begin to pause not because you are tired, but because you are awake enough to discern what truly matters. There are goals that once made you proud, but no longer touch your heart. There are responsibilities you once carried out of duty, but this year you learn to ask, does this still belong to me? Repeated on. This shift is not loud. It unfolds in very ordinary moments when you decline something that no longer fits, when you choose to give time to what nourishes your soul, when you dare to release expectations that were never truly yours. Taurus is naturally loyal, but this year, you learn a new form of loyalty, loyalty to yourself. The most healing part is this: when you live in alignment with your true values, your inner energy begins to agree with itself. You hesitate less, blame yourself less, and feel more at peace with what no longer lies on your path. The deep lesson of this year is, perseverance only truly matters when you are steadfast with what allows your soul to live. By the end of the year, Taurus will feel less pulled in too many directions. You move slowly, but each step is solid and true. Reason 3. Challenges arrive to test endurance, not to break you. This year, Taurus will not be given a straight road. We did my fuss. There will be turns, delays, situations that make you ask yourself, why does everything feel so difficult? But these challenges do not come to punish you. They come to test what you have built over many years: endurance, patience, and the ability to stand firm in silence. Taurus is not a sign that gives up easily. You endure very well, but this year teaches you that endurance does not mean gritting your teeth and pushing forward at all costs. you are invited to adjust, to review how you are carrying your load, to ask whether something needs to be done differently, not just done more. The healing lies in the moment you realize you do not need to prove your strength through pain. You are already strong enough. These challenges will slow you down, but it is precisely this slowness that keeps you from going the wrong way. By the end of the year, when you look back, you will understand. If it were not for these collisions, you would not have become a Taurus who is steadier, clearer, and more self-respecting. Because there are strengths that are only awakened when you are forced to stand still and trust in yourself. Reason 2. Quiet connections begin to bear sweet fruit. Taurus, for a long time, you have built relationships in your own quiet way, without show, without shallow social exchanges. You chose to stay, chose to honor your word, chose to be someone others could rely on even when no one immediately returned the same. This year, those choices begin to come back to you. Someone you once worked with suddenly remembers you. A connection that once felt casual quietly opens a new door. An introduction, a nod, a trust extended not because you spoke beautifully, but because you proved yourself through time. What is especially gentle about this is, these connections do not drain you. They do not ask you to become someone else. They arrive because others recognize that Taurus is someone who does not abandon things halfway. The deep lesson of this year is this: what is built through loyalty never disappears. It simply waits for the right moment to bloom. And when opportunity comes through people, it carries with it a sense of safety. The one thing Taurus has always needed more than promises. Reason 1. You realize you have become a different person, and it arrived so quietly, you almost didn't notice. There is no fireworks, no clear turning point. To my cock, just an ordinary day when you look back and suddenly realize you are no longer who you were a few years ago. You no longer react in haste. You no longer cling to what hurts you. You no longer need someone else's validation to know your worth. You are still loyal, still steadfast. But now, your endurance no longer wounds you from within. What makes this moment sacred is this: you did not trade softness to become strong. You did not grow hardened. You simply became more awake to your own heart. And perhaps the greatest lesson of the entire year, not achievement, not money, not recognition, is this deeply human truth. Remaining loyal to yourself in a world that constantly demands you change, that is the rarest strength of all. By the end of the year, Taurus does not stand above anyone else, but you stand more firmly within yourself. And sometimes, that is the most beautiful destination a human being can reach. The whisper that closes Taurus's journey. And then, when all of it has passed, you realize this year did not come to turn you into someone else. It came only to return you to yourself. Each challenge quietly taught you to stand more firmly. Each relationship silently filtered what truly deserved to remain. Each step that seemed small laid down a ground that no longer trembles. You did not rush. You did not take sharp turns. You stayed with your values, with your heart, with the path you chose. There were nights you felt exhausted. There were moments you stayed silent for a long time. But even in that silence, you never betrayed yourself. And that is what the universe always remembers about Taurus. This year did not reward you with loud applause. It rewarded you with peace deep inside, with the feeling, I no longer have to strain. In 40, you are still loyal, but it is loyalty with boundaries. You are still steadfast, but it is steadfastness that no longer harms you. You are still resilient, but it is resilience that knows how to rest, how to heal, how to love itself. And if there is one whisper meant only for you, it is this: you were not born to prove anything to the world. You were born to become a place of safety for yourself. And for those fortunate enough to stand beside you, the journey closes here, not with a period, but with a long breath, gentle, deep. Because Taurus, there are souls who do not need brilliance to shine. They only need steadiness to remain, and that is enough.